Welcome to Paramount Record Shop and Guitars. I'm Liz. Let's talk about some records. You saw me play a little bit of Dying to Live by Edgar Winter. I chose that song because it appears on the first album, or albums, I'm going to talk about today. It's Edgar Winter's Entrance, and then also White Trash, so it's a compilation album. And White Trash is considered Edgar Winter's best album by some. Going to Entrance, something that's interesting about this record is that the A side, all the songs are strung together without any breaks. So to really experience the full effect, you need to listen to each song back to back. From this album, I particularly like the song Fire and Ice. It has some jazz influences, which I personally like, and a really great sax solo. From White Trash, I like Give It Everything You Got. There's some distorted guitar and bass and just really great screaming vocals that I definitely recommend. If you're into like 1970s rock and blues and some gospel, I would definitely recommend this album. Our second album of the day is New York Tendaberry by Nyro. It was originally released in 1969 on Columbia Records, and this particular record is an original pressing. In the store we also have an analog Sparks version, which is high quality reissue. This record is considered by many of her fans to be one of her best records. She's well known for her original recordings of her own, but also for songs she does for other groups like Fifth Dimension, Three Dog Night, Blood, Sweat and Tears, and Barbra Streisand. One song that I particularly like on this album is the title track, New York Tendaberry. She's playing solo piano and singing, and it's very sparse, and there are even moments of silence, and it's very effective, and her singing's emotive, and it's very haunting. So if you're interested in hearing some of this album, I would recommend starting there. Our third record of the day is Pilgrimage from Wishbone Ash, originally released in 1971. This is their second album that they produced, and it had a little bit different sound than their first album, which was more blues rock. And this was the predecessor to their most famous album, Argus, in 1972. One track that I particularly like on this album is the first track, Vastes. It's a jazz cover from organist Brother McDuff in 1963. And if you haven't heard the original, I recommend that song. It's really great. I really like their version of it on this record, having sort of like scat singing and having the electric guitars, I think is really cool. If you're a fan of Wishbone Ash and you haven't heard this album, maybe you've only heard Argus since that's their most popular one, definitely give this one a listen. Some fans place this even above Argus, so it's worth a listen. Continuing on from Wishbone Ash, we have another prog rock album. This one is Night on Bald Mountain from Fireballet. If you haven't heard of Fireballet, but you're a fan of prog rock, you are not alone. They only released 2 albums in the 70s, this being their debut album. And Night on Bald Mountain might sound like a weird name, but it comes from a series of compositions from the Russian Romantic era composer Mussorgsky in the 1800s, and those original compositions were about a witch's sabbath that was occurring at the time. So almost the entire second side is devoted to their rendition of that series of compositions, Night on Bald Mountain. And it's very interesting. If you haven't heard the original orchestral composition, I would recommend listening to that and then coming and listening to this album, just to hear the difference in the instruments and their take on it. For a debut album, I think it's very ambitious, and unfortunately they disbanded after their second album since it wasn't received very well. But definitely an interesting listen. Thank you for watching our record vlog. We release new videos every month, so make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are interested in learning more about our store, or you want to buy vinyl from us online, head over to our website at ParamountRecordShop.com. If you are curious about this Epiphone Zephyr I played in this video, head over to ParamountGuitars.com to learn more about this guitar. And if you are in the area, come hang out with us in Watertown, Wisconsin.